Nightlife.
What makes us a family? It's that we genuinely care about one another. From the moment you enter the IB program, you will have the full support of all of our teachers, counselors, faculty, and fellow students. First-year IB students are matched with IB mentors who will help guide you and be there to answer your questions from the student perspective. Our dedicated IB office works to ensure that you can stay on top of your studies with our IB tutoring program, as well as provide information about community outreach for service hours. Not to mention our wonderful teachers who engage and challenge you to not only be a better and successful student, but to be a better person. That's the IB mission, education for a better world. And all of this effort quite literally pays off. In fact, over the past 4 years, our 300 IB diploma graduates have earned a whopping total of $23 million. That's more than any other school in the county. That's incredible. Not only does Vanguard have the most national merit finalists year after year, it has 20 to 30 valedictorians. Most, if not all, are made up of our IB class. Since 1999, we've sent IB graduates to all 8 Ivy League universities, all 5 U.S. service academies, over 35 state colleges and universities, and close to 100 national and international college and university programs. It truly is a global program, stemming from right here in Ocala. Simply put, the IB gives you a direct and effective path to your personal success. I have taught in other schools in and out of Marion County, and I'll tell you, there is nothing like the IB family, and I'm inviting you to be a part of it. Here are some of our IB students to tell you more about it.
So I know that when I was in 8th grade, I heard that IB was just all about students who were doing schoolwork all the time, but we can tell you from experience that that's not true. I can tell you that. I have a part-time job, I'm on the bowling team, and I'm in a bunch of other clubs too, and I'm able to balance that with my schoolwork, and we're able to do extracurriculars and schoolwork together. So it's important that you know that you can do what you love to do and still be in IB.
I didn't really realize that the teachers would actually care about you so much. Like most of the teachers, if you go up to them and be like, hey, I'm having a hard time, I have a whole bunch of tests going on, they're like, they'd be totally fine with moving a date for you and like helping you like one-on-one time, or moving dates around and stuff to make you have a better chance at being successful.
So I know it's a cheesy saying, but IB really is a family, and I can be a testament to that because last year in physics, I was struggling a lot. But whenever I asked anybody for help, whether it be my friends or Dr. Cruz or just an IB tutor that was willing to offer their help, I was able to get through the class because of the community and the family that is here at Vanguard.
IB students are well-rounded, principled thinkers and communicators.
We're balanced and caring, open-minded and reflective.
And we're inviting you.
And we're inviting you.
And we're inviting you to join us.
The magnet application is open now at applytomarionschools.com.
We'd love to have you here in the Vanguard IB family.
a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand.
What's done cannot be undone.
Double, double, toil and trouble. Fire burn and cauldron bubble.
This is Ever. For her entire life, her parents have monitored her future, training her to be the person they want her to be. In order to pursue her passion for dance, she tells them that colleges want a well-rounded student involved in other things in school. And when her parents send her to the Love Boat program in Taiwan to immerse herself in education for the summer, Ever experiences glamour, freedom, and love. But what happens when life doesn't happen like it's supposed to, when friends betray one another, and when summer ends?
That didn't go the way that I was expecting.
Oh, hey guys. Have you ever loved a song so much that you want to be able to play it yourself? Playing the piano may seem like a challenge, but once you learn the basics, you can play almost anything.
The first thing you need to know are the notes. Notes are tones of pitches, or in common language, they are sounds which you describe to be higher or lower in relativity to each other. As you go from left to right on a piano, the notes sound higher in pitch. There are 7 fundamental notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. The 7 bass notes are the white keys, or buttons on the piano, and they repeat in sets as you go up the piano. These sets are called octaves. This is where middle C is located. This is the median note of the notes on a piano. The black keys represent flats or sharps. Flats are notes that are a half step in pitch under a bass note, and sharps are notes that are a half step in pitch above a bass note. Something to know is that the same note can be described differently. For example, C sharp is also D flat. Second thing that you need to know is how to read sheet music. Sheet music is like a book in the way that books are a collection of words that come together in order to form a story. Sheet music is a collection of notes that come together in order to create music. There is a bass and treble clef. Generally, the bass clef is where the notes that are under the middle C are drawn, and the treble clef is where the notes above the middle C are drawn. Because notes are written like this, it is easier to know which notes you should play with each hand. Notes are written on the staff. These are the 5 lines that you see on the treble and bass clef. On the treble clef, the spaces represent the notes F, A, C, and E, and the lines represent the notes E, G, B, D, and F. In the bass clef, the spaces represent the notes A, C, E, and G, and the lines represent the notes G, B, D, F, and A. Sharps and flats are represented by a hashtag symbol and a lowercase b symbol. This is where middle C is notated. For beginners, anything below the standard bass clef or above the standard treble clef is not important right now. Now the last thing that you need to do is connect the two understandings, where notes are on the piano and on the treble and bass clef.
As you progress in your music career, these tips and tricks will allow you the foundation to play the songs that you love. Now all you need is practice.
This is the International Doomsday Clock. It represents how close we are to a world-ending event. Every minute the clock ticks is another step towards destruction. If the clock reaches midnight, the world ends in full nuclear war. And in the fall of 1962, the clock would sit at 11:59. This is the story of the closest the world has ever gotten to nuclear annihilation, and how humanity would be pulled away from the brink of destruction. October 24th, Moscow. Nikita Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union, has a problem. American missiles have been stationed in Turkey, putting nuclear weapons within range of all of the major cities within the Soviet Union. Not to mention, a new American president has brought a new level of American aggression. Just a year earlier, the US had tried to invade Cuba and overthrow its communist regime. Khrushchev, however, saw an opportunity in the chaos. If medium-range Soviet missiles were placed on the island, Khrushchev could credibly threaten the Americans, just as they had threatened the Soviets with Turkey. It would also ensure Cuba's security, keeping a communist nation right on America's doorstep. For Khrushchev, this was the ultimate checkmate. Soon, thousands of Soviet troops, aircraft, supplies, and missiles poured into the island under the disguise of Soviet cargo ships. Yet within weeks, American intelligence networks were abuzz. Spy planes over Cuba had found missile sites all over the island. Photographs were rushed to the White House, and soon the US realized they had been outmaneuvered. Kennedy's advisors were frantic. Many of them wanted Kennedy to take military action, calling for airstrikes of the sites, or even a full-on invasion of Cuba. Kennedy was forced to choose between doing nothing and showing American weakness, or taking direct action and risking full-out war with the Soviets. And he had little time to make a decision. The missiles would be active within a few days, leaving him only a short window to act. In the meantime, Kennedy orders a blockade of the island, search any ships that are inbound to Cuba, and sink any that do not comply. Back in Moscow, Khrushchev is frustrated. His plan had hinged on the Americans not catching the missiles before they were active, but now he was vulnerable. He writes in a harsh letter to Kennedy, "You, Mr. President, are not declaring a quarantine, but rather are setting forth an ultimatum, and threatening that if we do not give in to your demands, you will use force. Consider what you are saying. You are no longer appealing to reason, but wish to intimidate us." New photographs over Cuba show hastened construction of missile sites, and Soviet bombers being uncrated at Cuban airfields, capable of flying nuclear bombs deep into American cities. The sun rose on October 27th, the day that would be known as Black Saturday. Mushroom clouds erupt over the Arctic and the Pacific Oceans, the Soviets and Americans testing their nuclear bombs, both as a show of force. U.S. Strategic Air Command enters DEFCON 2 for the first time in history. For reference, DEFCON 1 means full-out nuclear war. Security protocols are bypassed in a panic, allowing individual commanders to launch a nuclear missile within 30 seconds without a presidential order. Soviet generals sent out an order to arm all of their missiles in Europe and in Cuba. In response, U.S. forces entered staging positions off the coast of Florida, able to land an invasion force the size of D-Day within the hour. the blockade line has devolved into a cat and mouse between US destroyers and Soviet submarines. All Soviet submarines have been armed with nuclear torpedoes, in orders to take out as much of the American fleet in the event that war breaks out. An American surveillance aircraft is shot down over Cuba, with orders coming from Castro himself, breaking the chain of command with Moscow, a precedent that could allow Castro to launch Soviet nuclear missiles without any communication with the Soviet Union. It was at this moment that the world stood on edge, with civilization itself on the verge of collapse. The doomsday clock sits at 11:59, the closest it will ever come in human history, a single minute from the end of our world. Yet, it was rapid and effective communication that would soon pull humanity away from the brink. October 27th, the White House. Kennedy's war room is in full operation. With rapid conflict escalations, Kennedy is now forced to try and end the crisis. The only problem is that Khrushchev has sent 2 separate deals to Kennedy within 24 hours, and he doesn't have the time to ask for a clarification. The first deal asks for a pledge not to invade Cuba for the removal of the missiles, but Khrushchev's most recent letter now asks for a bigger commitment: the US to remove its missiles in Turkey for the missiles in Cuba. On one hand, the second deal asks for a bigger commitment, but it wasn't unreasonable, missiles for missiles. On the other, he can't accept the second deal without negotiation. Upcoming midterms have made the crisis a key issue, and he cannot look weak against the Soviets. With pressure mounting and his generals demanding offensive action, Kennedy's about to cave when his brother comes in with a plan. Robert Kennedy enters a secret meeting with the Soviet ambassador, in such secrecy that the only documentation we have of this meeting is this transcript. Robert Kennedy relays the message from the president agreeing to the first deal, affirming that there will not be any invasion of Cuba if they halted construction on their missile bases. The ambassador then presses him about Turkey, where he concedes that the US will withdraw missile bases from Turkey within 4 to 5 months if he accepts, that the move was extremely confidential, and if news of the missiles leaks, the deal was off. The next morning, the Soviet radio broadcast went out to the world. The deal was made, and the crisis that brought humanity to the brink was finally over. The lessons learned from the crisis would see a direct hotline between the White House and the Kremlin, and a new set of nuclear treaties that would ban all intermediate-range nuclear missiles, the same missiles that were stationed in Cuba and in Turkey. However, the Cuban Missile Crisis will not be our last push to the brink. As of today, the clock sits at 3 minutes to midnight, and it is up to us to bridge our divisions and unite to solve the problems of our modern world, in the one clock where we can turn back time.